Modern football analytics is a system obsessed with raw numbers. It is a world that worships physical data, high-velocity sprints, and relentless tracking. Data algorithms look at a pitch and measure everything in metrics of pure distance covered. But right now, at this very World Cup, Lionel Messi is executing a tactical paradox that completely destroys the validity of those models. He is scoring exactly 2 goals every single game, and he is doing it while covering less ground than the opposing goalkeeper. Think about that contradiction. While elite sport demands an endless athletic engine, Messi has converted his entire game into a walking pace. To a data analyst looking strictly at distance charts, his performance looks like a total anomaly. It looks like laziness, but in reality, it is a surgical, cold manipulation of space. He has become a ghost in the machine, an engineering force who completely understands that a football match is not won by running. It is won by scanning the space before the ball even arrives. What we are witnessing isn't a decline in physical capability, it is a highly calculated, brutal execution of system analytics.
Why does this distinction matter so much? Because the modern game has undergone a brutal commercial drift. Today's elite academies don't produce playmakers anymore. They build automated physical structures designed to press, transition, and sprint across 50 meters of open pitch. Systems are engineered around winning the ball and launching instant vertical transitions. Look at how modern top-tier midfields are structured. They are built like athletic engines. They rely on raw strength, explosive acceleration, and physical dominance to suffocate opponents. But when a team relies entirely on an automated physical structure, they become deeply predictable. They rely on the metrics of motion. Messi operates on a completely opposite tactical ideology. He rejects the modern demand for constant running because he is the ultimate engineer of space. When Messi walks across the pitch, he isn't disconnected from the match. He is actively diagnosing the structural flaws of the opposing defensive line. He is measuring the exact distance between the centre-backs and the defensive midfielders. He is looking for the precise moment when the opponent's pressing system overextends itself. By refusing to run, he removes himself from the data tracking of the defensive block. He becomes invisible to their automated structures, waiting for the 1 second where his intelligence can break the entire system apart.
To understand how Messi hijacks these systems, you have to look closely at the mechanics of his movement. The football world is completely obsessed with high-speed acceleration. Every modern scout is looking for raw explosiveness over a short frame. But the sport is completely forgotten about the power of the break. Messi's greatest physical gift today is not how he starts his runs, it is how he completely stops them. He carries his movement in second gear, walking casually through high-pressure zones to put the surrounding defenders completely to sleep. This slowness is a deliberate trap. When a defender sees a superstar walking, their cognitive focus naturally drops. They adjust their own defensive positioning and rhythm to match Messi's apparent lack of intensity, and that is exactly when the trap snaps shut. Out of that complete slowness, Messi creates a sudden, devastating burst of movement. It isn't a 50-meter sprint, it is a single, 2-meter shift in body weight. Because he possesses the absolute perfection of a low center of gravity, his sudden change of direction causes the defender to simply fall away. By the time the opponent realizes they have been compromised, Messi has already altered the geometry of the final third. He adjusts the entire defensive line to his own sluggish rhythm, turning their physical speed into an absolute weakness.
Let's look at the actual statistics that sit behind this World Cup run. If you look at expected goals models, modern data predicts that a standard shot from the edge of the 18-yard box under physical pressure carries roughly an 8% chance of ending in the back of the net. The models assume a standard athletic framework, a player surrounded by opponents, forced to take a shot from a tight angle with a low probability of success. But Messi routinely beats these expected goal totals by an astronomical margin. How does a 39-year-old walking player consistently convert low-probability opportunities into guaranteed goals? The answer is simple. Messi does not accept the space the opponent gives him, he invents his own space before he even attempts a shot. Most modern forwards depend heavily on an assist. They rely on a teammate to deliver a pass into space that has already been generated by a tactical system. Messi has built an entire legendary career on goals that arrive with absolutely nobody assisting him. He shields possession under intense physical pressure, trusts his surgical technique, and creates a shooting lane where none existed a second prior. The shot maps of his goals at this tournament show a repeating pattern: distant strikes, tight angles, and set pieces. Every single one of these shots is a direct insult to data science because Messi registers outcomes that statistics fail to predict.
What Messi is executing at this World Cup is a form of pure spatial dictatorship. When he walks into the half spaces, he forces the opposition's entire defensive structure into a state of total tactical paralysis. If a central defender decides to break rank and step up to press him, they instantly leave a massive structural vacuum behind them, a space that can be ruthlessly exploited by running wingers. If the defensive line chooses to drop back and protect the space behind them, they grant Messi absolute freedom on the edge of the box to dictate the tempo and slow the game down exactly when it needs to slow. This is the psychological toll of playing against a ghost. He forces modern, highly disciplined tactical machines to abandon their automated defensive principles. They are trained to press an active, running opponent. They are completely unequipped to deal with an elite playmaker who simply stands still and watches them. He operates inside their defensive blind spots, entirely outside their physical tracking zones. It is a direct collision between a human brain that understands the game better than anyone alive and a collection of modern athletic structures that are moving too fast to notice their own destruction.
This incredible performance isn't just about individual excellence or winning another tournament. It is a profound preservation of a style of football that modern sports science has actively tried to kill. In Argentina, football history has always been defined by a concept known as la nuestra, our way. And the absolute crown jewel of that traditional style is one specific, legendary position, the enganche, the classical number 10. The greatest enganches in the history of the sport, legends like Diego Maradona, Juan Román Riquelme, and Pablo Aimar, never won football matches by outrunning their opponents. They won them through raw intelligence, immaculate spatial awareness, and absolute control over the ball. Today, the modern commercial drift has treated the classical number 10 as an endangered species. Critics have spent years arguing that these slow playmakers simply slow down the modern hyper-athletic game. But Messi is proving on the grandest stage of all that the position was never extinct. It simply required an elite cognitive upgrade. By maintaining his walking pace and relying on surgical intelligence, he is single-handedly keeping the purest form of football alive against a machine built for raw survival.
Why do statistics consistently fail to capture what Messi is doing on the pitch? Because data tracking software can only measure physical actions. It registers passes completed, distance ran, and top speeds achieved, but it fails to register the massive impact of a player's cognitive presence. Data cannot measure how a player's positioning forces an opposing midfielder to step 2 steps to the left, opening a massive passing lane for a teammate. Data cannot register the weight of an icon standing still, drawing the attention of 3 separate defenders without ever touching the football. Messi dominated an entire golden era that worshipped raw physicality, and he did it through intelligence and technique alone. His words and his movements carry the massive weight they do because they are based on absolute observation. When he walks, he is performing real-time tactical scouting on the pitch. He sees what data analytics fails to register. He understands the underlying psychological patterns of his opponents, their fear, their fatigue, and their structural vulnerabilities. You can give a squad all the data in the world, but you cannot teach an athletic machine how to replicate the mind of a spatial engineer.
As we watch Messi cruise through this World Cup, scoring 2 goals every single game, we have to look past the surface-level metrics. This isn't a story about a veteran player surviving on the remnants of his youth. This is a masterclass in tactical economy, a definitive statement on how the human brain can still completely dominate a sport that is trying to turn itself into an algorithmic machine.